Hello everyone, hope you are all doing good. So, in today's video, we'll be talking about the CSET economics topic, and in today's topic, we will be studying about the chapter 3 or lesson 3 Indian Union Budget. So, this is very interesting topic. Trust me, guys, if you know the logic behind this, you can just do and crack this exam. Okay, see, guys, usually they will present the budget every year, right? So every year the budget will be presented. So these budgets are very much important for your exam. They can directly or indirectly ask questions for in your exam. Okay. So without getting late, first let us know what are the basic things and then we will proceed. Okay, the first thing is what is budget? The first question, what is budget? You have seen your mom saving money out of your salary. So every month, whatever the money she get, what she will do? She will save some money. For what? For future uncertainties or for investing that money in any fixed deposit, bonds, anything. Okay. And also out of that money in some, so what, for example, if your monthly salary of your mom is 10,000, let us assume, in that she will keep 5,000 as saving and remaining 5,000 what she will do? Of course, it is for expenses, grocery, household items, etc. Right? Household item, etc. Right? Okay. So, whatever the money she saves in the future, that is after a year, she will invest in something and she will get what? She will get returns. She will get returns out of those investments. So, this is nothing but budget. If you want me to explain in simple time, I would like to give you another example. So let us assume that your father as your father gave you two options. So what is the first option? The first option is, see my child, I will give you 10,000. So I don't know on what you will expend this amount. You spend this amount on anything, but you have to give me the list on items on whatever you have spent. When after a year, after a year, okay, after a year you give me the list on whatever the things you have spent, but now I am giving you 10,000. You go, you spend on anything, whatever you want, you spend, but give me the list. That is the first option. The second option is, whenever you want money or whenever you want money, you come to me, you ask me, I will give you money. Whenever you want to come to me, you ask me money, I will give you money. So, which option is best for you? Asking for money every time whenever you want, or taking 10,000 now and spending this all amount and giving the list later? Of course, 10,000 asking now, asking 10,000 now and spending it and then giving the list is better. So, that's what the budget they do. So, what they do, let me erase it. So, what they will do? They will give the list on whatever I spent. Who? The government. And after that, if they incur any amount which is bigger than the sum which they have promised, then they will take loan. So that is what the budget is all about. So they are saying that I am estimating. So budget is nothing but they are estimating that I am going to I'm going to spend on these items and I am going to invest on these items and get return. We will understand about this further in detail, okay? So for now, this is all about the basics which you have to know, okay? So now let us know about the overview. So the first one, Mr. James Wilson is the first person. who has introduced the budget. Okay, he has introduced the budget on when February 18, 1869, and he is also known as father of budget. So he is a person who has introduced income tax in India. So the same person, the James Wilson, has introduced income tax in India as well as the budget. So that is the first point. And the second point is the first budget was presented by Mr. R.K. Shanmugam Chetty. Finman is nothing but financial minister. The first budget is been presented by the Financial Minister Mr. R.K. Shanmugam Chetty on November 26, 1947. Very, very important. And also they may ask who is the father of budget. Then the answer will be Mr. James Wilson. Okay. Usually, guys, they used to print the budget in Hindi only. So they used to present, sorry, not in Hindi, they used to present, sorry, they used to print only in English. But after 1955, they are printing in both the languages, Hindi as well as English. Before that, they used to print only in English. But after 1955, they are printing in Hindi as well as English. Okay. And the next one is the British used to present the budget at 5 o'clock p.m. When? At 5 o'clock p.m. But this practice has been cancelled by India, so they are presenting the budget from 2001. When? From 2001, they are presenting the budget at 11 o'clock a.m. Okay. Okay. The fifth point is until 2017, they used to present the budget on the last working day of February. So suppose if the last working day is 28th, then they are going to present the budget on 28th itself. Okay. But this practice has been cancelled from last 2 years. They are presenting the budget on 1st February. Every 1st February in the news channels you will see the discussion on the budget. Okay. Okay. So there are two financial ministers in India who did not present the budget. So those two financial ministers are Mr. K.C. Nyogi and Mr. H.N. Bahuguna. Mr. H.N. Bahuguna. Okay. And then the seventh point is Sri Moraji Desai has presented 10 budgets. Again, it is important. She is the first person to present 10 budget. No one has presented these many budget. Okay. In 2017, they merged both union budget and railway budget. So the reason behind this is before they used to think that this railway budget is a very huge budget and it requires more time to plan for these budget and they were given more importance and more money also. But then in 2017, they realized that this railway budget is not very huge compared to all other budgets. So what they did, they combined these both budget into one. Okay. So these are the quick overview about the budget which are given in your syllabus in your topic. So the next topic we will understand them clearly because they are very important. Okay, now let us understand what are the key terminologies or the heads covered under the budget. So the first one is annual financial statement. First, let me explain what is annual financial statement and then we will come back to this. Okay. So the first thing what the government has to do is so whenever they have to present a budget, before that, what they have to do, they have to make a list on what, on whatever the expenses they are going to incur and whatever the things they are going to invest. So in this we will call it as a revenue and expenditure statement. So what is revenue? After investing, what they will get? They will get income. That income is known as revenue. and what is expenses that is saved, right? So they has to prepare a statement, or they have to write down a list of whatever the expenses they are going to do and whatever the income or revenue they are going to get. And these lists should be divided into three parts. So these three parts are firstly known as consolidated fund, second one is contingency fund, and the third one is public account. So I will explain you in detail about these three things, but for now I'm telling you they have to make a list, or they have to prepare a statement of all the revenue and expenditure on all these three parts, that is consolidated fund, contingency fund, and public account. And they have to submit these three papers to the parliament. Where? To the parliament. So it has been given, it has been justified in the Article 112 of Constitution. So in the Article 112 of the Constitution only, they have said that you have to make a statement of all these three parts. One is consolidated fund, second one is contingency fund, third one is public account. And you have to submit it to the parliament. So it has been given in Article 112 of the Constitution. So there can be a question. Which article of the Constitution requires the government to present to Parliament a statement of estimated receipts and expenditure for every year? Option A, Article 114. Option B, Article 106. Option C, Article 112. Option D, Article 114. So the right answer is Article 112. Okay, now let us come back to this and let us see what is given here. So this says that Article 112 presents a statement to Parliament of estimated receipts and expenditure for every year. So they are saying that according to the Article 112, you have to submit a statement after doing estimation of receipt and expenditure for every year. They have said that every financial year. So can you tell me what is the financial year from when it starts and when it ends? Starts on April 1st. When it ends 31st March. Very good. Yes. Okay. So what exactly is this statement? This statement is nothing but a simple white 10-page document. So it is a paper. So it is a 10-page document. So in this 10-page document, they have divided it into three parts. So let us see what are these three parts. The first one is consolidated fund, I have told you that, and the contingency fund. And the last one is public account. So these three are divided into parts. So in 10 pages, they have divided into three parts. Okay. For each of these statements of receipts and expenditure, they have to be presented. Okay. Now let us see what is consolidated fund and what is contingency fund and what is public account in detail. Before that, I would like to tell you one thing. I forgot to tell you this. Okay. So this year ka budget is a paperless budget. Okay. Why it is paperless budget? So this budget was made with Made in India tag. So they did not carry any paper this time. It was a paperless budget, and this budget was made with Made in India tag. So that is special about this year's budget. And there is more interesting things about this year budget. So if you want to know, then let me know in the comment section below. Okay. So we will move further now. Okay, now let us understand what is consolidated fund. See, whenever you go and purchase something in shop, you have to pay the tax called as GST. So you all know about this, right? You all know about GST, right? So whenever you go and purchase something in shop, you have to pay GST. That is on the goods and services which the person or individual consumes, they have to pay the tax. And also, whenever the income of the person is above the discussed by the income tax authority, if it is more than the slab, then they have to pay the tax, that is income tax. So this amount will directly go to consolidated fund. Where? To consolidated fund. So here, whatever the money they get, that money is what? Of course, it is revenue. Of course, it is revenue. Not only GST, not only income tax, also if the government do some disinvestment. Now, what is disinvestment? Any idea? So, if you have seen the newspaper or if you have seen the latest budget, then you have come to know about the various disinvestment that the financial minister has planned for. So, any idea? So, okay, let me give an example. So, let us assume that A is a public company. Okay, A is a public company. So, now what the government is thinking? So, they are thinking to sell this A company to someone known as B, any person. So, is any person someone? So, they are thinking to sell this A company to person B. So, B is a person here. Okay, don't confuse between person and company. So, A's company they have planned to sell it to B. Now, this is known as disinvestment. So, this is known as what? Disinvestment. What will government get by doing this? They will get money. The B has to pay money for government. So, that money is what? That money is revenue. So, again, this will be deposited in where? In consolidated funds. Okay. So, let us see more example. So let me tell you another thing. So recently, the government has planned to disinvest two public sector banks and one insurance company. What? Two PSU and one insurance company. Definitely one insurance company. So they have said that in the budget. And in this year, so this year they are planning to disinvest Air India, which have already started in 2018 or something. Air India, this they disinvested in they started disinvesting in 2018 or something, but they have said that it will be completed in this year by the end of September. They have said this in the budget itself. Not only Air India, but also other companies. I will tell you what are those now. Along with Air India, they have also said that Shipping Corporation of India and IDBI Bank and also Container Corporation of India, DEML, Pavan Hans, Neelchal Ispat Nigam Limited, and many more are going to get disinvested in this year, that is 2021 and 22. Okay. But I told you right, two PSU and one insurance are going to get disinvested. That is in the next year. And also one more thing, guys, very very important. That is LIC. LIC is going for IPO. What is IPO? Any idea? What is IPO? Yes, it is initial public offering. What is initial public offering? What happens? Who will go into initial public offering? The company which is fresh can go to initial public offering. Correct. For what? For issuing what? For issuing shares. Yes. So to whom they will issue the shares? For company or for whom? For people. Who can subscribe here? Anyone. Even I can go subscribe. You can go subscribe. Anyone can go and subscribe and take or buy the shares in initial public offering. So first time when a company is issuing shares to the public, it is known as IPO, that is initial public offering. Then if the company is issuing the shares for second time, then what is it called as? Follow up shares. Yes, follow on shares. Okay. Now in case of follow on shares, can they go and issue to the public or they have to register or do something else. Yes, they have to get listed in stock exchange. In stock exchange. When it will happen? After IPO, they have to get listed in the stock exchange. Then people can go and purchase in stock exchange directly. Now, before like if you have seen the movie called as Scam, Harishchandra Scam, then you will come to know about that. So, do you want to watch that movie? If you are interested, you can watch that movie. The scam is known as Scam 1992. Scam 1992. So if you want, you can watch this movie. If you have Prime or something, you can watch. And it was Arshad Mehta, Arshad Mehta scam. Okay. So if you watch this movie, you'll clearly understand what are the things, what are the frauds that are going on in the stock market, and also there are more scams, Satyam scam, Arshad Mehta scam, etc. Right? So we'll come to know all these things. Okay, that was the part. Okay, now let us come back to this syllabus. Okay, so let us continue with this. So I told you that these banks are going for this investment, that is Air India, Shipping Corporation, IDBI Bank, BML, Pavanance, etc. So now let us come back to the consolidated fund. I told you whatever the revenue that the government get is deposited in consolidated fund. And this money can be money borrowed from any people, loans, or then taxes like GST, income tax, and then disinvestment also. And whatever the money is being deposited in this consolidated fund, from this, no one can withdraw the amount without the parliament approval. If they want to take money from the consolidated fund, then they have to ask parliament. They have to say, please approve me to take or withdraw the amount from the consolidated fund. For that, they have to what they have to do? They have to pass demand for grants in the parliament. Now, let us take an example. So let us assume there is a state called as A, and this state wants something around 1 lakh. Okay, something around 1 lakh. So they want it for expending, they want it to spend on something. Okay. So now they have to pass what? Demand for grant. So this justification is given in the article 113. So what is being given in 112? The government has to present the estimated receipts and expenditure of every year to the parliament. That is in 112. In 113, what they are saying? They have to what they have to do? They have to present a statement of estimate of expenditure from the consolidated fund. See, whenever they want to withdraw the money from consolidated fund, the first thing is they have to take the permission of parliament. And second thing is in the parliament, that is in the Lok Sabha, the people should vote in favor of this. Okay, I can withdraw the amount of 1 lakh. So majority of votes should be there. Only then the bill will be passed and they can withdraw the amount. Okay, I think you can't see this here. It is nothing but majority. Okay, it is nothing but majority. In Lok Sabha, majority of votes should be in favor that A can withdraw the amount of 1 lakh. So now you may get the question, what if in Lok Sabha they did not do in favor? See, till date, there is no such cases. In India, every time whenever they want to withdraw the money from consolidated fund, it is in favor only. Till date, there is no such case. So, if something like in the next happens, I will let you know. Okay. So after getting voted, then what will happen? The appropriation bill has to be passed. Now, what is appropriation bill? It is nothing but okay. The parliament is saying that okay. Now A can withdraw 1 lakh amount from consolidated fund. So that is nothing but appropriation bill. That government is getting the power to withdraw the money from consolidated fund. It gives power to the government to withdraw funds from consolidated fund for meeting their expenses. After voting of demand of grant, appropriation bill is introduced. It gives the power or authority to the government to withdraw money from consolidated fund. Very simple, right? So, what is consolidated fund? Whatever the money that the government gets, like in form of PF or money borrowed or loan, not PF, sorry, money borrowed, loans, taxes, and all. So, this money is consolidated fund. If any person or any state or any authority wants to withdraw money from this fund, it can be withdrawn by the permission of parliament. For that, they have to pass demand for grant. In demand for grant, what will happen? The Lok Sabha members will vote, and after voting, they will get the power to withdraw the money. From where they will get the power? From appropriation bill. Very simple, right? Yes, now let us move to the contingency fund and later I will explain you what is financial. Okay, now what do you understand by the word contingency? Urgent, unexpected, critical, life and death situation. What is life and death situation? You are in a situation like you can't live also, you can't die also in that situation. Sudden event. So can you give any example? The recent one? Yes, COVID. Did anyone expect that COVID will come and it will affect all the people and people will die? Anyone expected? No, no one expected. So this is nothing but unexpected event, critical event, sudden event. So if any state has to meet these kind of expenses, so let us assume again. So A state. So yeah, in all over the world, the COVID has been hit and all of them are suffering. But in state of A, what is happening? The COVID is increasing and they need money to meet expenses to buy what? Medicines. What medicines? Vaccine. Yes. To buy vaccine, they need money. So for that, what they will do? They will go and ask Parliament, see, I am in very critical situation, life and death situation. Please give me money so that I can meet my expenses. So let us take the example of 2 lakh year. So now after getting the approval from the parliament, what they can do, they can take the amount and then they can do spend it on the vaccination. But here there is a condition for them. So what is the condition? You can withdraw money. You can ask my permission also and I will give you the permission and you can withdraw money. But one condition is, see, for example, out of 500 crore, it will be deposited in contingency fund. So it will not become less also, it will not go high also. Okay. The minimum is 500 crore. And from this 500 crore, if you take 2 lakhs, then after that, after meeting the expenses, what you have to do? You have to take the money of 2 lakhs from consolidated fund. Then from consolidated fund, you take 2 lakhs and you deposit in contingency fund. So that is the condition here. So let us read this here. So any unexpected critical life and death extreme sudden events are met with this fund. Rupees 500 crore is at the disposal of President. Expenses met from these funds need approval from Parliament and amount should be returned to this fund from consolidated fund. Okay, so that's what I told you now. Okay, so there can be a question. What is the amount that is being deposited in contingency fund? Option A 200 crore, option B 5 lakh, option C 5 crore, option D 500 crore. So the option is 500 crore. Yes. Now let us also see what is public fund, and then we will come back to the financial bill. Okay. So what is public fund? What is public fund? What do you understand by the term public? What is fund, by the way? Fund is nothing but money. Public, who are all public? You all are public. So it is yours money. It is whose money? It is yours money. So now, can you give me some examples of this PF? Yes, very good. Okay. So let us take the example of PF only. So, if any person is working in a company, each month the public fund, there will be some amount which will be deposited in PF. Okay. Now, can the person withdraw the money monthly or annually? Can the person withdraw the money monthly or annually? The answer is big no. When can he withdraw? After the specified limit, maybe after 60 years or 70 years. They can withdraw. Okay. Now, what will happen for this money? Who will take this money? Suppose I am working. So, suppose let us assume that I am 27 years. Just an example, okay? I am 27 years and I am working in a company. Now, each month they will deposit 20 rupees to my PF. Just an example again. 20 rupees for my PF. Now, if it is 20 annually, for a year it will be somewhere like 240 rupees, right? 240 per year. Now, who will take this money? Of course, it is the government who will take the money. Okay. After 70 years or something, or before that also, I can go and ask PF department, please give my money back. I want this money to meet some exam expenses, so please give me my money. Then the government can't say that I have spent it in corona vaccine, I spent it in something like constructing building roads, etc. So no, the government can't say that because the true owner of this is me. I am the true owner of this. So whenever I go and ask the demand, or whenever I demand for the money, the government should give me back. So that is the condition. So now let us read it here. So the government is just or simply or only or purely any words you can put here. Act as a banker. So here the government is simply acting as a banker. What is the function of the banker? They will accept money and lend money. Whenever, see, for example, today I go and deposit 500 rupees in the bank, and tomorrow I want my money. So I will draw money in ATM. I'm demanding money. So the bank will give my money, right? So the same thing that happens in public fund. So public are going and putting their money in the public fund like PF, etc. And whenever they demand, they should give back their money. That is the case here. So that is like they act as a bank. So examples are provident fund, PF, remittances, small savings, etc. The government does not require any permission to take advances from this account. So can you tell me why there is no restriction for the government here? Who is the owner here? Is it government or parliament? No, the true owner of this is public. So they do not require any permission from government. Now you may get a question. Then they should ask public opinion, right? They should ask permission from public, right? No. See, each month the company will be depositing some or other month in the PF account. So now if the government has to withdraw some amount, they cannot go and ask each and individual to ask permission. Usually they have to ask it by CAG, that is Controller and Audit General of India. That is the audit of all the expenditure from this public account of India is taken up by CAG, that is Controller and Auditor General of India. So there they should ask. And the money flowing into this account is called as receipt, not revenue. What is revenue? What is revenue? Suppose you have a bike and you sell your bike. Now what you will get? You will get money. That money is called as profit or revenue. We simply call it as profit or we call it as revenue. But for these kinds of company, it is not a profit, it is a receipt. So all these funds, so usually, whenever they have to prepare a consolidated fund report or statement, what they have to prepare, what statement it is called as revenue and expenditure. But here they have to present a statement of receipts and expenditure. It is not revenue. Please remember it is receipt. So there can be a question. The public fund has to prepare a statement or present a statement to the government or parliament, which is that what is that called as? Option A, revenue and expenditure. Option B, revenue and receipt. Option C, receipts and expenditure. Option D, none of the above. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is receipt and expenditure. Okay, this is very important. Please don't forget this here. Okay, the next one is finance bill. Okay, let us see what is finance bill now. So finance bill is also called as money bill. So what is the other name for finance bill? It is also called as money bill. So here it has been defined. It is also known as money bill and it has been defined in Article 110 of the Constitution. Please remember Article 1110, Article 113, Article 112. Okay, don't forget this. Okay. So whenever a new tax should be introduced or the slab should be changed, simply to put it here, I would like to say it is a modification of the existing tax structure or continuation of the same, and it has to be submitted to Parliament through this bill. So let me give you an example here. So recently in 2021 budget, what they said that the tax slabs remains unchanged. That means they are not going to change any tax slab. So whatever the tax slab was there for the previous year, that only is going to be continued for this year also. So that is what they said. Now, in this case, what they have to do, the first thing is they have to submit or present it to the parliament. What they have to do, they have, can you see here or do you want me to write it down? I will be writing it here. So the first thing is they have to submit it to Parliament. Okay. And the next one is it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. That means the Rajya Sabha is not having any power here. No, that is not the case. That means that Rajya Sabha can recommend some changes. Rajya Sabha can say, okay, do this, do that, don't want to change the slabs, okay, then add something like this, add this, or change that. So Rajya Sabha can say that. But here, it can only be presented in where? In Lok Sabha. Okay. And the third point is the bill has to be passed by the parliament within 75 days of its introduction. Within 75 days, they have to pass this bill, or else this bill will be void. This bill will be void. What is void? It will be cancelled. It will be revoked. Okay. Okay. Now let us read it here. The finance bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay. The bill has to be passed by the parliament within 75 days of its introduction. I would like to tell you one more thing. I told you that in 2021 budget, they have not made any changes for the tax slab. But there is one new thing that they have introduced. So let us see what is that. So, senior citizen. You all know who is senior citizens, right? Who is above than 75 years or more. So they have said that a senior citizen aged 75 years above are getting one benefit. What is that benefit? They don't need to pay the tax for their retirement fund. So whatever the fund that they are getting from the retirement, So for those funds, they don't need to pay what? I think you can't see it. Okay, this is nothing but retirement. So whatever the fund that they are getting from retirement, so for that you don't need to pay tax. We will set you free. So that is what they are saying in 2020-21 ka budget. Can you all tell me what is the fund? That is what is the amount that the senior citizen will get at the retirement? Pension, yes. So they get pension. So out of this pension, or it can be any interest amount also. It can be any interest amount also. So for this, they no need to pay any tax. So before they used to charge tax on it, but now they are set free. So one thing is here is they could have included all the senior citizens here, but then because of Indian independence of 75th Indian independence, because of that they have included only senior citizens of 75 or something like that. Okay. I mean to say that all the senior citizens mean there are senior citizens who are about than 60 years, right? So they would have included those senior citizens here. So, but then they have included only super senior citizens of about 75 years. See, in income tax, we have something like a senior citizen above than 60 years and a senior citizen above than 75 years. So here they charge separate tax and here they charge separate tax. So I told you they would have included both and combined saying that it is a tax free. But no, they have included only senior citizens of 75 years or older than that, and they have said that the pension amount or interest amount, whatever they get, that is excluded for tax. That's what I told. Don't get confused, okay? So that is all about the financial bill. So now let us move to the next one. Can you tell me what is justified in Article 112? They have said that the government has to present to Parliament a statement of estimated receipts and expenditure. Okay. Financial bill is also called as dash money bill, and it is defined under Article 110. Yes. Appropriation bill should be passed before demand for grant or after demand for grant. After demand for grant. So demand for grants is like dash. Option A, asking permission to withdraw money from consolidated funds. Option B, depositing money back to the consolidated fund. Option C, withdrawing money from contingency fund. Option D, depositing money back to contingency fund. So what is the correct answer for demand for grant? Demand for grant means asking permission for withdrawing money from consolidated fund, and it has been justified under Article 113. What is contingency fund? Contingency fund means any urgent funds or unforeseen fund. Okay. Gas amount is allotted to contingency fund. Option A 5 lakhs, option B 500 crores, option C 500 billion, option D 500 lakhs. The correct answer is 500 crore. Yes. Should they take permission from the parliament or not? Yes, they have to take the permission from parliament. Who is the true owner of public account? Of course, it is public. So here in public account, the government is acting as dash, as a banker. Okay, now we are ready to go. So now let us move to the next topic. So now it's time to further move on. See, now we are talking about the capital and sorry, this is capital receipts and capital expenditure. Okay, capital receipts and capital expenditure. So I know you have studied this in your PU and all. Now, can you tell me what is capital? What is capital? A capital is something which you hold for a year or more. or sometimes it is also an asset. So sometimes it is also an asset. Okay, now you tell me. I At the beginning of the session, I told you an example about mom saving money for spending it in future. So where she will spend, she will invest in some fixed deposit or something. Will she invest in fixed deposit frequently? Will she invest in fixed deposit frequently? The answer is big no. She sometimes invests only once in a while. Once in a while, right? So this is known as capital. So this is known as what? So this is known as capital. Please excuse me for a minute. Okay, I'm really sorry for the disturbance. So I was telling you that your mom saved the money and invested in fixed deposit. So will she invest in every time simultaneously? I'm sorry, frequently? No. She will invest once in a while. And at end of a year. So let us assume that fixed deposit is for 1 year. So now whatever the money is coming is called as what? Is called as revenue. So that is the profit for whom? For your mom, right? Now will she get profit every time? No. That is only once. So that is known as capital revenue. Now, what is the opposite of this? The opposite of this is capital expenditure. Will she invest frequently in fixed deposit? No, once in a while. So whenever she invests in fixed deposit, it is a capital expenditure because money is going out and you're spending money on something. And whenever after a period ends, she gets a profit on the fixed deposit. That is known as capital revenue because she is getting money. That is revenue. So that is the example and the difference between the capital revenue and the capital expenses. So now I hope you are clear with what is capital revenue and capital expenses. I would also like to tell you one more thing. So there is something called as revenue budget. I'm really sorry for this. I'm really sorry. Okay. So there is something called as revenue budget. Okay. So in this revenue budget, they will list out all the revenue receipts which the government gets. So whatever the revenue receipt that the government gets, that will be listed or written or printed where in revenue budget. Okay, and capital, whatever the capital. So what do you mean by capital? I told you like expending. So if for that is in point of view of your mom. So let us now assume in point of view of government. So what all the expenses that the government do? First of all, they will do disinvestment. But disinvestment is a receipt for a for whom? For government. So let us assume something more than that. So can we assume loan? So for example, government has taken a loan from RBI. Okay. Now today or tomorrow, I think you can't see this here. Okay, let me write it here. Okay. So it is a capital budget. Let me write it here. So let us assume loan taken from RBI. I'm really sorry for this bad handwriting. Loan taken from RBI. So today or tomorrow the government has to return back the money to RBI, right? So now it is an expenses for the government. So it will be in capital budget. Okay, I will give you more example in after finishing of the explanation of these small topics. I will provide you examples and also I will tell you how to remember and what is the tricks to remember for this. Okay, I hope you got this point now. Okay, now let us learn about revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. So now we learned about the capital receipt and the capital expenditure. So now it is time to study about the revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. So first of all, what is revenue? Revenue is nothing but a money or a profit. So let me write it here. It is a profit. Okay. So, and the next one is expenditure. Expenditure is nothing but spending money of something. So receipt, what is receipt? What is receipt? I told you the example for receipt. See, in case of PF, what happens? Monthly the amount is going and depositing in PF. So it is a receipt for whom? For government. What they have to do? They have to prepare receipt and expenditure statement. I told you in the beginning of that, right? Okay, now coming back to this. So let us see what is the difference between the capital and revenue receipt. Okay. So in capital receipt, what will happen? It is not recurring in nature. I can simply put the words like it is not recurring in nature in case of capital receipt. Okay. See, I gave you an example of mom spending her savings in investment of fixed deposit. In case of fixed deposit, the first thing is she will not invest in fixed deposit regularly. So I can say it is not recurring in nature. It is not recurring in nature. But okay, every month I get money. Out of that money, what I will do? I will take 500 rupees and I will deposit in bank every month. I'm telling you every month. Okay. Now I'm going and depositing in bank. So it is recurring or non-recurring? It is regular first of all. So it is recurring in nature. So in some banks they will give me interest like 1 rupee or something. So I'll treat it as income for me. So depositing in bank is a income for me. I'll treat it as income. So it is nothing but revenue receipt. Revenue receipt. It is in point of view of me. But what happens in point of view of government? What are their revenue? That I will tell you later because this is just to make you understand what is revenue receipt, what is expenditure under meaning. Now only if I tell you everything in detail, you will get confusion. Okay, so I'm not telling you about this now. Okay, now let us see what is revenue expenditure. First of all, revenue is recurring in nature. So, of course, revenue expenditure should also be recurring in nature only. So, that is the main difference between these two. Now, what is the difference between receipt and expenditure? See, in case of revenue, what will happen? You will get money frequently. Money will come frequently. That is regularly. But in expenditure, money will go out. Money will go out. Okay, money will go out. So if I'm investing in so let me assume that I have to buy groceries every month. Okay. For household purpose, I have to buy groceries every month. So when I'm buying, it is an expenses for me, right? So money is going out. So here I can call it as revenue expenditure. That is in point of me. In point of view of government, they will expand like they will construct roads, they will construct building, transport highways and all. So that is the expansion. So these are the quick one. So let me recap you again. So what are capital receipts? Capital receipts are non-recurring in nature. And what happens in capital receipt? Money will be coming in. And in capital expenditure, it is also non-recurring in nature, but the difference is money is going out. And in case of revenue receipt, recurring in nature and money is coming in because revenue means receipt means money is coming in. And revenue expenditure recurring in nature, money is going out. Expenditure means money is going out. So this is quick recap for you. So now let us see what are the things, what are the expenses that the government will do and what are the profit that the government will earn. Okay, now let us understand which is capital receipt and which is capital expenditure, revenue receipt and revenue expenditure. So the first question is disinvestment. So you tell me, let us assume that government is disinvesting LIC. What? Disinvesting LIC. Now, Will they disinvest LIC frequently? The first answer is no. If the answer is no, what can be this? It is capital or revenue. It is non-recurring. So it is capital. So I'll write it as capital. So whenever they disinvest in LIC, what do the private or any other person give? I told you the example keeping in mind that A is a company, it is a private company where they are selling it to B. B has to give money. So now that money is what? It is receipt. So it is capital receipt. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Now the next one, income tax. In case of income tax, first question, will the government get income tax regularly? Yes, every year the government will get income tax. So it is recurring in nature. If it is recurring, what can be this? It should be revenue. It should be revenue, right? Okay. And income tax. So a person is paying income tax to the government. So it is a expense for the government or it is a income for the government. Government money is coming in or money is going out for government. Money is coming in. So it is receipt. That's why I told you what is money is coming in, what does it mean by money is going out. So that's where you have to understand. Okay. I hope now the concept is clear for you. Okay. The third one, interest received on loan. So the government has given loan to someone and that party is paying interest. So first of all, has interest been paying regularly or frequently? First question, do government give loan frequently or not? Of course, yes, they give loan frequently. So that means it is recurring in nature. So if it is recurring in nature, no doubt it is revenue. And interest received on loan, is it an expense or what? Of course, it is receipt because money is coming in. Okay, next, third question. You tell me, dividend on investment. You think and you tell me. Soon, dividend on investment. What is this? What is investment? So let us assume investment in place of shares. Okay. Okay. Dividend on dividend on investment, right? So person has done investment, the government has done investment on something on a company, and that company is paying dividend to government. Now here dividend is paid regularly for those. Even the profit, see, first of all, what is dividend? Even the company gets profit or not, they have to pay the dividend for their shareholder. Now here the government is been getting dividend and it is recurring in nature. So it is what? Revenue. So money is coming in or going out? Money is coming in. So it is receipt. Next, investment on shares. You tell me what is investment on shares? Come on, soon. The government is investing on share. So first of all, whenever they are investing, it is an expense for the government, right? Do they invest on shares regularly? Suppose LIC is go LIC, sorry, okay, not LIC. So let us assume that A is a company where they said that I am issuing shares. Now government is going and investing on A company. Will they invest on A company regularly? No. So it is non-recurring in nature. If it is non-recurring in nature, what should be the answer? Is it capital or revenue? Of course, it is capital. Money is going out or coming in. Expenses, right? So it is a capital expenses. Are you are you able to catch up this? If not, let me know in the comment section below so I'll make something for this if you can't understand this. Okay. So for those who are not able to understand, please let me know in the comment section. Okay, now the next one. Loans received from foreign government and bodies. Will the foreign, okay, anyone in this matter, will they give loan frequently? The same person, like foreign government body, will they give loan frequently or we will take loan frequently? No. And one more hint I would like to give here is always loans are capital. Always, whenever you see a loans received, blindly write it as a capital. Okay. Okay, see, now you may get a question why I am doing all these things. Will we get a question from this? Yes, you may get a question from this. So there can be a question like is disinvestment capital receipt, revenue receipt, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure? So the right answer will be capital receipt. So at least there will be two questions from this. Now see why I'm doing only for 2 marks, why I'm doing all these things because I don't want you to fail. I mean like you I don't want to lose in 2 marks. I don't want you to lose these 2 marks, okay? Because 2 marks is also very important. And suddenly when you see some question in your paper and you don't know what to tick the right answer, now you will be in a dilemma. What is the correct answer? So I don't want this to happen. So that is what I'm telling all the possible things. Okay. So the next one, loans received from foreign government and bodies. I told you whenever a loan received, it is a capital. And first of all, loans received means money is coming in. So if money is coming in, of course it should be a revenue, right? Of course it is a revenue. So it is capital revenue. The next one, pension. Will government provide pensions to old people regularly? Yes, it is regularly. So it is revenue. And government giving or depositing pensions to old age people. It is money is going out or coming in? Going out. So it is an expenditure. So it is a revenue expenditure. Now next one. Purchase of land building machinery. Now you have to tell me. It is very easy. Tell me what is this? Of course it is capital. Yes, it is capital expenditure. Very good. Now, next one. Right, loans from public. So the government is borrowing loan from public. Will they borrow loans regularly? No, once in a while. Whenever they want, whenever it is necessary, then they will buy. It is capital. Money is coming in or going out? Coming in. So it is receipt. Okay, next one. Subsidy. Subsidy is nothing but like giving more incentives. Like for a gas cylinder, you will get subsidy, right? So that is like that. Okay. Now you tell me for subsidy. Is it like you will get subsidy every so whenever you purchase a gas cylinder for home, you will get subsidy. So it is recurring in nature. If it is recurring in nature, it will be revenue. Yes. So government is providing subsidy. That means money is going out for them. So it is expenditure. Next one, payment of salary. Very easy one. You have to tell me. Government is giving salaries to their employee. What is that? Yes, it is revenue expenditure again. Good, good. You are able to catch this. Next one, recovery of loan given by central government to state government or union territory. You have to understand this clearly. So that means the central government has given some 40 lakhs to state government and union territory. And the state government and union territory has repaid back the loan to the central government. So here money is coming in first thing. And the next one is loan. So I told you that whenever you see a loan, you should blindly put it as what? Capital. So it is a capital receipt, right? The next one. Cess means tax on tax. You are paying tax addition to the tax. So what type of is it? So you are paying tax to the government. So paying tax is revenue because it is recurring in nature. So if money is coming in, it should always be receipt. So that is revenue receipt. Okay, that's all here. Now coming to this. Borrowing through Sale of treasury bills. So they have sold the treasury bills and they have got, okay, I'm sorry, not sold. They have kept the treasury bills as mortgage and from that they have taken a loan. Now what type of this is? Come on soon. Will they borrow every time? Will they borrow every time? No. Then it is capital. Next, money is coming in or going out. Money is coming in. So it is capital receipt. Next one, excise duty. So whenever they import, then they have to pay something called as excise. So that is who are paying excise. Now, for example, the government is getting excise whenever we import or export, right? So that is revenue, recurring in nature. Money is coming in or going out, coming in. So it is revenue receipt. Next one, very easy. Corporate tax. Tell me, the corporate are paying tax to the government. The corporates are paying tax to whom? To the government. Then what type of it is? What type of receipt or revenue? Yes, it is revenue receipt. Good. Next, receipts of union territory. Receipts of union territory. Something like loans. Loans only. Again, it is revenue receipt. Okay. Next one. Loans and advances granted to the state government or union territory. So I told you whenever you see a loan, simply you have to blindly write it as capital. So here the government, the central government is giving loan to state government and union territory. That means it is an expense for them. So it is capital expenditure. Next, interest payment. I want you to make it soon, guys. Interest payment. Interest payment means revenue expenditure. Okay, next one. Custom duty. Custom duty is something like a tax only. It will be paid regularly. Again, money is coming in, so revenue receipt. Next, fees. Fees, something like you can take it as penalty. So, for example, those who are not wearing mask, sorry, those who are not wearing mask, they have to pay the fine. So it is nothing but fees that is collected by the government. So it is a revenue for them. So every time whenever a police is not wearing mask, they will collect fine. So it is revenue receipt. Okay. Next is external grant. I will tell you the meaning of external grant later. But now external grant is revenue receipt. I'll tell you why. Okay. GST. It is a tax, right? So tax means money is coming in. It will get regularly. So whenever you purchase something, you will pay tax to the government. So it is revenue receipt. Look, next one. Loans from RBI. You tell me loans from RBI. Yes, whenever you see what? Loan, it is capital. So money is coming in or going up? Money is coming in. So it is capital receipt. Very good. Good. Okay. See, external grant means, see, let us assume that government has said that along with 20 lakh, along with 20 lakhs, I am giving you extra 25 lakhs. So if you want to meet any expenses, then you can meet. Or if you want this to invest, then you can invest. So you do whatever you want from this. I am going to give you extra 25 lakhs. So that is what the meaning of external grant. See, if you see this here, there is two possibilities. From this amount, the government or anyone in that matter can do expenses from that amount or can do investment. So the government can do expense also, investment also. In this case, if it is expenses, it will be revenue expenditure. Okay. Why it is revenue? Because it is recurring in nature. Because external grants are given periodically, frequently. So it is recurring in nature. So it is if they are doing expenses, then it can be revenue expenditure. And if they are doing investment in future days, they will get return on this. So it will be revenue receipt. But in your in your textbook, they have given it as revenue receipts only because nothing is been mentioned, right? So it is revenue receipts only. So I also told you it is revenue receipt. Okay. But if the question is specifically saying that external grants given for meeting expenditure or expenses, then the correct answer, what it will be? It will be revenue expenditure. If it is like the question specifically says that external grants is given for investment purpose only, then revenue receipt. Okay, don't confuse. It is not capital. I know people are more tends to confuse here. External grants is not a capital. It is given regularly or periodically. So it is revenue receipt. Okay. So I have made it in a simple form. If you see this in your textbook, it is quite confusing and they have lagged all the what you call explanations. Okay, so you can just refer to your textbook once after listening to this explanation. So if you get any doubt, you can just text me or let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so that I'm here to clarify all your doubts. Okay, now coming back to this, here I have made quite four columns. So in this four columns, I have bifurcated all the revenue expenditure and capital expenditure and receipt and tax receipt. Okay, okay. So in revenue expenditure, coming to the revenue expenditure, what are recurring in nature and which is all expenses, that is money is going out. Interest payment, money is going out. Subsidies, payment of salaries, pension. Okay, this is in point of view of government. Okay, whenever you solve any questions in this, you have to think that I am a government. From my point of view, what is happening? So in case of income tax, I am getting income tax. See, a person is paying tax to the government. So the person is paying tax to me. I am receiving money. Money is coming in to my account. So it is a receipt. So every time there is a lot of people in this world and they are all paying income tax. So it is recurring in nature. So like this you have to analyze the problem. Okay. See, in case of revenue receipt, there are two types. One is tax receipts, another one is non-tax receipt. What is non-tax receipt? Non-tax receipts are receipts where you get income but is not in the form of tax. But tax receipt is a receipt where it is in a form of tax like income tax, corporate tax, excise, custom. And non-tax receipt. Interest received on loans, dividend on investment, fees, external grants. Now you don't get confused between external grants. See, external grants means giving some money addition to that. So it is not a tax. Okay. Next one is capital expenditure. Here, purchase of land, building, machinery. It is all expenses, right? Investment in shares, loans and advances to state government. So I told you, loans and advances is always a capital receipt. And capital receipts means loans from public or market loan. So that means public is giving the government loan. I am taking loan from public. So it is money is coming in. First of all, loan is capital, but money is coming in. So it is capital receipt. And loans from RBI, money coming in. Recovery of loan given by central government to government or union territory, money is coming in. Loans received from foreign government and bodies, money is coming. So I have made a very simple form. So if you want, you can take the screenshot here. Okay. So this is in a simple form. I'm explaining you in very simple terms and with all the logic as much I can do. So please don't leave this chapter as a choice because this chapter is very much important. Okay. You will get all possible questions and you can trust me guys. This chapter is very short and you can also score more from this chapter. Okay. Okay. Now coming back to this. See, if I calculate all interest payment 3 lakh plus 2 lakh 23 lakh 25 lakhs plus 20 lakhs, it will give me somewhere around 68 lakhs, right? Yes. Next, in revenue receipt of tax receipt, that is we have to add both tax receipt as well as non-tax receipt. Okay, 5 lakhs plus 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 4 lakhs plus 4 lakhs plus 32 lakhs plus 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 2 lakhs plus 3 lakhs plus 9 lakhs will give me somewhere around 138, sorry, 134 lakhs, right? 134 lakhs. Okay. Now let us compare between these two. Here, revenue receipt is less and revenue expenses is less, but revenue receipt is more. That means what does it indicate? My income is more than my expenses, isn't it? So it means that we are having a revenue surplus. We are having a revenue surplus. How much? What is 68 lakhs minus 134 lakhs? You have to do it other way round. Okay. 134 lakhs minus 64 lakhs will give me how much? 66 lakhs, right? Okay, now let us add capital expenditure and capital receipt. See, I have told you, right? When you see your syllabus studies in study material, they have given most terminologies and it is really hard to understand. So I am making it in a very simpler way. These term, the capital expenditure they have given in different way, capital receipt in different way. So I have made in this form. See, these will all not come for exam, so they will not ask you to calculate all these things, but I'm doing it just to make you understand how the budget will be. So in a practical way, they will make the budget like this. In theoretical way, you know how it happens in your textbook they have given. So you may study. See, after this, what you will do is just go through the syllabus once again, read your module. So if you get doubts in any part of that, you can come back and you can ask me. So whenever you ask me a doubt, I will think that okay, these may be the doubt which can be come in your mind. So I will try to resolve them. Okay. So please read the module and then come back again and you can ask me. Any doubts you have, you can ask me in the comment section. Okay. Okay, now coming back to this. 30 lakhs plus 27 lakhs plus 40 plus 20 will give me how much? 117 lakhs. Okay. Now 30 lakhs plus 29 lakhs plus 40 lakhs plus 5 lakhs will give me how much? 100 and 104 lakhs. Okay. Now, if you see here, my expenses is more, right? My expenses is more than my income. So what is this called as? It is called as fiscal deficit. How? 117 minus 104 will give me 13 lakh. See, we will normally denote fiscal deficit in the bracket, but I have not done it here. I'll write it as minus if you want. So, since we have given it fiscal deficit, I don't think we require it. See, when we get revenue surplus, whenever my income is more than expenses, I will get revenue surplus. When I will get revenue deficit, okay, I'll tell you when we will get revenue deficit. See, okay, when my expense is more than my income, that is receipt, we will get revenue deficit. Okay, when we get revenue surplus, when my income is more than expense. But in case of here, when we get fiscal deficit, we get fiscal deficit whenever my expense is more than receipt. That is, my expenses is more than my income. So it is fiscal deficit. Guys, I'm really sorry. There is a mistake I have done. So I have not added borrowings through sale of treasury bill and this investment. So now I saw this and I have added 6 lakhs plus 45 lakhs. So this gives me 155 lakhs of capital revenue, and expenses is of 117, that is same. So here I will get fiscal surplus. So here I will not get deficit, because see, whenever we have to calculate deficit, I'm really sorry, and that formula is also wrong. Okay, I'm going to tell you again. So whenever we have to calculate the fiscal deficit or surplus, what we have to do is we have to take capital expenditure and add it with revenue expenditure. So whatever the money I get, that I have to deduct it from capital receipt from revenue receipt. So very simple. CE plus RE will give me one amount. Okay. So what is that amount? 155 plus 68. It will give me 223. Okay. From that 223, what I have to do? RR plus CR. That is 134 plus 155. So when I deduct, I will get somewhere around 106 lakh. Okay. So that is the mistake I have done. I'm really sorry. And this is how the annual financial statements look like. So this is how the government has to prepare the budget report and submit it to the parliament. Okay. So here the revenue receipt they have to take, and the capital expenditure very simple, 68 lakh, and the capital expenditure 117 lakh. So when you add these two, 68 plus 117, it will give 185 lakh. And then revenue receipt, here you have to bifurcate tax receipt and non-tax receipt. So my tax receipt, when I add all the tax receipt, that is 5 lakhs, 20 lakhs plus 4 lakh plus 4 lakh plus 32 lakhs plus 10 lakh will give me 75 lakhs, and non-tax will give me 59 lakhs. When I add these two, I will get 134 lakhs. And same thing in capital receipt of which received on loan and other receipts. See, in capital receipt, the loan has been recovered already. So here we don't need to show. So we have to separate this 40 lakh minus 155 lakh minus 155 lakh. So it will give me how much? 115 lakh. Here I have written recovered amount 40 lakh. From that I have deducted 155. It gives me 115. Okay. And then for total receipt, it is total expenditure. Now for total receipt, what I have to do? D plus E. When I add these two, I will get how much? 289 lakh. Okay. Now I have to see whether I have got revenue surplus or revenue deficit. Okay, this is for previous year. Okay, this can also be for previous year. Okay, and they can predict it for future. Okay, but now this is for previous year. What I have done this statement, this is all for previous year. Okay, so this is not exact figures. This is my estimation. Simply I have take random numbers and I have put here. Okay, this is not the exact figures. Okay, now total receipt. Okay, you know how to get KD plus E will give me total receipt. I have to see whether I have got revenue deficit or revenue surplus. For that, I have to deduct from revenue expenditure and revenue receipt. So I will get 134 minus 68. What I will get? 66. And I have to take the percentage of GDP. So in starting, if you see here, we have country's GDP at 3,500 lakhs, right? So if you can see here, country's GDP 3,500 lakhs. So that we have to take here. So that is percentage of GDP. What I have got 66 lakh, from the 66 divided by 3,500 into 100 will give me 1.88%, and fiscal surplus will be 104 lakh, because C minus total expenditure minus total receipt. And then percentage of 104. This is 104 divided by 3,500 lakh into 100 will give me 2.97%. And if you have to calculate the primary deficit, then the formula is fiscal deficit minus interest repayment on previous loan. And from that you can calculate 3,500 into 100. So this is the way how the financial year uh, estimation will be there, and this is I have done assuming it is for previous year. So this all not the These are all not the exact figures, these are randomly choose figures, okay? So this is not the exact one. So kindly go through the module now. And if you get any doubt there, you can come back and ask me anytime, okay? So now, okay guys, that's all for today. So if you see the module, you will see all has been theoretically they have told us, but I have practically told you how it really happened. So kindly go through the module. If you have any doubt, come back, ask me. And this is the end of this chapter. In the next session, I'll be solving the MCQs questions. So you can click on this I button above to access the MCQ also. And if you have not watched the second chapter, then please go through that also. It is highly important. So coming to the next chapter, that is Indian financial market. It is quite long and big chapter where I will take at least three parts of videos to finish them. So that's all for today. If you have any doubt, ask me. And how did you feel? Please tell me in the comment section below. And if you want me to improve in any of this, please let me know in the comment section only. So thank you so much for watching till now. See you in the next class. Stay tuned. Bye everyone.